Hello there, I'm Lily. Welcome to my second devlog regarding a game that doesn't really have a real name yet. Last time I updated, I had spent a total of just over 20 hours on building up this little project. Since then, I have focused a lot on trying to make the code more readable, but also more logical. And there has been many situations where I've written a specific part of code and it has kind of worked as intended, but it's just not quite as I had wanted it. So I've removed the old and I've started over with a different logic. And I'm actually happy that most of the times I've managed to solve it and have the feature work as intended, but a couple of times I have actually temporarily thrown in the towel thinking, oh, I don't need this feature right now. I'll get back to that when I have more knowledge about coding. And then it ends up on one of my to-do lists together with all kinds of random ideas that I want to implement to this game. Those lists are very scary though, because no matter how much I add to the game, the lists keep getting longer and longer by the day. Oh, and then there's the health issue. This actually caused me quite the confusion because I completely rewrote the code 3 times and somehow still had the same issue. It all started when I noticed that swapping from green player version to red, or the other way around, they had 5 life each. So if one took 4 damage, I could just swap to the other one and take more damage without dying as intended. So I started recoding and tried to fix this, but quickly noticed that the counting was off somehow, because when being at 1 health and taking 1 damage, 1 minus 1 should equal game over. Instead, it went to 0 and I could continue playing and finally dying at -1. And somehow that meant that when I started the level again, I did not start at 5, instead I started at 4. And this I never actually found the reason for, so metaphorically I slapped on some band-aid and pretended it was fine. I mean, at this point it kind of works, so perhaps I should just leave it the way it is? It is bothering me though! Another problem was that I was mistakenly under the impression that the signal has to be located inside the scene you either emit from or connect from. So I spent way too much time trying to figure out how one scene could communicate with another scene that it had no connection to before being able to send or receive the signal. And since that communication is not possible without signals, I did hit a rock wall after spending like 7 hours researching this and trying different things. So for the second time during this journey, I asked a dumb question on Discord. And honestly, I was so worried that I was gonna have to redo a bunch of stuff again, like last time, because it was so discouraging. But instead, I was simply educated that the signal does not need to be in any of those scenes. So I moved it over to one of the global scripts and suddenly I had a working UI showing hearts and diamonds. And this was a huge milestone because suddenly it started to feel more like a game where you can see the health, you can see how many little things you've picked up, and you have enemies that do damage and spikes that really hurt, and it's suddenly a game. I felt very clumsy every time I tried coding something new. Yes, I did most of the times reach the solution I was looking for, but someone with more knowledge about coding would have solved everything at a fraction of the time I spent. I am hoping, though, that my struggles now will actually make it easier later. I can tell you, I am so happy that I started with this project because I am learning so much more like this than I was when just following tutorials. That is, of course, a very personal thing. Some people have easier following tutorials and learning from that. I'm not one of them. I need to do my mistakes and feel embarrassed, and then I will remember it. I put the coding aside for a moment and designed some alien-looking root things. They are placeholders, okay? Regardless, I wanted to have something in the world that would react as you ran through them. I want to have more things like this. But I started with making these routes, so when you jump through them, they will start moving. I mean, it doesn't look natural at all, but that's okay. I still really like the idea of these. I'm not sure if I will keep the speedrun timer in the finished game. I really have not decided yet. But at this point, it is fun to use it while it's still there. My record right now is just under 1 minute and 30 seconds. But this also gave me something to think about. I want the game to have 10 levels when it's done. And if one of those levels take less than 2 minutes to finish, then that would mean that the game would end within 20 minutes. For me, that's just not enough. So I wanted to add some more juicy content so it would at least take a little bit longer. I mean, an hour would be okay for a little random indie game, right? Well, I guess time will tell. For now, I will just continue trying to add more stuff and see what happens. I have currently spent about 60 hours on this project, and who knows where I'll be at 100 or even 1,000 hours. If you want to join me on this journey, I would love to see you on the Discord server. I will leave a link in the description below. Until next time though, stay safe out there. Bye!